What's up, guys? Koma here. Different video today. No level design, no map creator or anything. Today we are going to be talking and theorizing about what the big event will be happening uh, very soon for Splitgate 2. So, if anyone has not understood anything that has been going on
First and enjoy the chaos.
recently, I'm going to turn this down because I decided to capture my audio. Um, what's been going on is Splitgate has been announcing a lot of things. So if we go to Splitgate 2, you can scroll down for a little while and you can notice it's not a campaign, think bigger. June 6th, and this was because they put up a trailer, which I guess it isn't here. I don't know why it's not here. I would expect it to be here. But anyway, there was a trailer, and during a live stream, there was something that was supposed to be massive. Now, we've gotten screenshots and a bunch of stuff since then. So I guess here's the actual trailer. And then we've gotten a few other hints, such as it all leads
Heads up,
here,
airdrop on the way.
and it kind of showcases this weird structure, which is something that you can see in the main menu, as well as what if you could portal to entirely different worlds. So that leads me to kind of showing what I want to show off now. We are in the middle of Glacier, and our big thing that we are looking at here are these. So you'll notice this one is like a giant portal thing, and now this is something we noticed very early on in terms of Splitgate's onslaught reveal, is that these are giant portal gates. Kind of self-explanatory on how curved it is, and even in some of the art we even have these portal walls like actually functioning. Now, the interesting part is that each map has two standard portals.
Airdrop incoming.
So, for example, we had red over there, and now we have purple over here. Now, the interesting thing is very much so like the structure we just saw, there is one specific portal giant arch on each one that has a stone art like design to it. And now every onslaught map has a stone arch, and it has two standard giant arches that are obviously made by the SSL or the Soul Splitgate League. So the question is why is this one different? Well, for one, I think this leans into something that you can actually go into Eden and wander around until you get into the exposition area of Eden. And you come across a giant structure
Hey,
that is over here, and you can see this. So this is a screenshot of that I took on Eden, and it has a highlight that says Sanctum. This entire wall was excavated from the inner sanctum and painstakingly restored here in its original form. Fume Laboratories continues to unravel the mysteries of the Takrin. The Takrin are what I kind of call uh the forerunners of the Splitgate universe. And so if you continue to look around in the Eden area, you have this where it says Nello Fume's personal collection 2232 post impact event. Oregon, various artifacts, ancient ceramics, gold inlays. These artifacts
heads up, airdrop on the way.
were unearthed in the archaeological survey that followed the excavation of the impact site in 2232. So first of all, we got two key names here. We have uh Sanctum, so the inner sanctum specifically. And then we also have Foregone, which most people would assume would be Foregone Destruction from Splitgate 1. Conveniently, Indo typed out and posted, it was staring at you in the face this whole time, which has this image of basically a giant portal in the background of Foregone Destruction. Now you can kind of see some sort of like world or something going on in the back here. And this is what I believe is
Airdrop incoming.
the Sanctum. Really wish this dude would stop yelling at me about airdrops. But essentially, what I'm getting at is that these giant gates will lead to whatever the Sanctum is. And the Sanctum, I believe, is essentially where this is located. Now, the question is, what is it used for? Great question. I cannot tell you, but the closest thing that we have kind of come and, come across and pondered of and kind of theory crafted at was that potentially this will be a battle royale. Now, a lot of people are already negatively looking at the game in a bad light, as if a BR is kind of the world's worst thing. It's not necessarily the worst thing, as the game has already focused really heavily on its 24 player and 6 player modes. But a BR would explain two things. Number one, why these gates are here in the first place. And number two, why these maps are actually massive to begin with. Um, there are places on Glacier or even some of the other maps that I can guarantee normal players probably wouldn't go. For example, whenever you sometimes spawn in this area, you sometimes spawn here. You don't even turn around and you go into green building there. But what I know people haven't gone to is that if I come over here, I portal over this way, you can notice that I go from yellow over into orange here. And this section of orange base is practically never used in actual gameplay. This section of the map, or I believe it's orange, but it might be yellow, but this entire section of the map is not used during. Why is my game just stuttering real bad? It's just not used during normal onslaught gameplay. In fact, it's not used so much that if you come over here, there's actually a robot here, which I bet half people haven't even found or haven't even seen before. There are just sections of onslaught maps that no one touches, no one goes to because they are absolutely massive. So when you look at this map and you think these portals, these giant portal gates, are used to go in between worlds. So, quite literally, you're splitting worlds and portaling to entirely different worlds because it is pretty much a known fact at this point that each onslaught map is based within a different world, star, moon, whatever it is. Everything is connected. That isn't even including whatever the sanctum is that is within Indo's screenshot here, as you can see very faintly in Foregon's distance. And again, these are connected to the sanctum because obviously Indo also posted a screenshot to these pillars. Now, the bigger question is, what is the sanctum? To me, the sanctum feels like the Takran homeworld. And again, we just talked about the Takran, and the Takran are what seem to be like this ancient race of, I wouldn't say beings, because obviously every living thing is a being, but it's a ancient race of aliens of some kind that perhaps, originated the portaling tech and is how eventually we came across as humans and created portaling. And you can now create portals. This would explain a lot of the visual effects that goes on in the middle of these like structures. So maybe this has something to do with not only the impact event that is spoken about here, as this is post impact event, which is after the impact, but also it does things like this, meaning that it has something to do with some very devastating power of how a lot of these portal techs work, meaning that perhaps, if a portal becomes unstable, maybe it is a very dangerous thing to actually be playing with. So I don't know. It's a very strange, just thing we are looking at. But considering everything that we've learned and we've been hinted to, such as split worlds and whatever this quote unquote massive thing is, I believe it is something to do with the Sanctum, which is also even more settled upon. If I go to my notifications here, I can go to a reply here from Cows, which he also found this. Apparently on Inferno, there's a portals that lead to Fracture and Glacier. Now, this is interesting because Endo replied to it saying, huh. And then Cows says, what is the sanctum? My caps lock is always on now. Sorry. Then Endo says, Sanctum, never heard of him. And then Cows then replies with a screenshot of Inferno that says Sanctum on green text. Conveniently, from what I understand, every ancient portal is a green frame. It is always considered green base. Now, as far as I understood, Inferno is the only, or even right there, it says Sanctum. So it's telling you this one way or another actually leads to the Sanctum. Now, it's interesting to me that all the ancient portals are green, just for the sake of making sure. I'm going to head over here to red to make sure that I am not mistaking this. Thank you, Slide, for being the best thing ever in this game. Yeah, Sanctum is not labeled on these bases, which basically tells me that one way or another, green is directly linked to Sanctum. So, I don't know. That's where my brain's at. Everyone else in the comments is welcome to pitch in. Um, but that is just sort of my thought process on a lot of this. So essentially, what I'm thinking of is, unfortunately, yes, most people will hate having a battle royale, but assuming that they are integrating the onslaught maps into the battle royale is a very cool idea. In the case of, we've never seen a battle royale before have maps that are directly integrated into the 24 player stuff or 24 player maps, because obviously it's not one to one. Obviously, we're not looking at, being able to play Onslaught and then suddenly be able to play a BR. That is kind of not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that these maps are used as assets for some sort of like giant BR mode, perhaps, but who knows? Maybe I am overthinking this. Maybe we are kind of just thinking about this wrong. But at the end of the day, that is my theory. And that's kind of what most of us are thinking with a lot of these portals. And the fact that, yes, they do work. We haven't seen it yet, but they do work. Um, but that is something we will learn on the 6th. So feel free to drop your comments and what you think is going on here. We will definitely find out very, very soon whether or not that is from Splitgate on Twitter, whether or not that is potentially, something being leaked, or yeah. So who knows? We might see something very, very soon.
Airdrop incoming.
Okay. Well, with that said, I appreciate everyone stopping by, watching the video, and maybe even theorizing with me. And we will figure out what exactly is going on with these structures and everything on the 6th. So I appreciate everyone for watching. If you guys want to stick around and, even learn some map building, which is mainly what I do on this channel, y'all can, like, subscribe, stick around. You can always hit the bell for coming back around. But in the meantime, I'll see you guys on the 6th, perhaps, and
1 minute remaining.
being hyped about launch. So, adios, guys. See you later.